Hello friends, welcome back to this career conversation series. In this series of episodes, I've been talking about my mentoring counseling experiences with parents, children, and my fellow counselors. And I'm back with yet another very interesting episode number 29. And the title of this episode is education mandatory for success, or does education guarantee success? It sounds interesting, and I'm sure which is the most common intriguing question that we all come across as mentors and parents. So in this episode, I'll try and explain and share my own experience. In fact, this is one of the quite common questions that I come across whenever I do these career workshops or doing one-on-one mentoring sessions. So most students, most youngsters, young boys and girls, sir, is education mandatory? Why are you putting us into the system which we don't like, the education system? Why are you sending us to school? These are a lot of questions which are disturbing to them, because these young minds, they always want to escape from a routine, from a system, and they want to find something else. And they're smart enough to come up conveniently with various reasons, those popular less than 1% successful people as reasons, like Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates. They all are school dropouts. They didn't had formal education, they didn't had formal academic qualification, but yet they've reached greater heights. And this is the convenient excuse that most youngsters will come up with. And for parents and mentors, counselors, it becomes very challenging to convince them, to appeal to them, and to make sure that they are not falling prey for unwanted things. So I thought, from that experience, I'm going to share my purview here and see whether which side is going to help us. Education is going to guarantee or going to assure success or not. So let's get into it. As I said, this is episode number 29. Does education guarantee success, or is education mandatory to succeed? Well, first let's look at, this is a twofold. First, let's look at one side of the coin. Education definitely plays a great role and pays back well, believe me, and we all know that as grown-ups, and we have spent a lot of time in our careers. So if you have to talk in favor of that statement, yes, does education guarantee success? And again, before even I dwell into the topic, success is a very complex subject, and it is very subjective to individual. There is no one clear formula, but there are principles that one can follow to reach that success, and the definition of success varies from person to person. Over a period of time, it gets redefined. In fact, that's my view, my friends. So let's understand. So education, yes, it does play a key role in an individual's success. The following are the parameters that plays a key role, part of that education. One, access to opportunities. Only certain academic qualifications, certain academic degrees or post-graduations or diplomas will be eligible to take up certain roles, certain careers in this world. For example, engineers, doctors, lawyers, kind of it. Number two, the competitive edge. Today in this competitive world, the world of work is changing at a very fast pace. If you have an appropriate academic qualification, an appropriate technical qualification, then it makes real sense for you to beat that competition and stay out of that crowd and then ahead in your journey. And skills. Ideally, education will build certain academic skills, technical skills, or practical exposure to you, which will put you ahead of people, and then you could succeed in your life in that specific career path. And most importantly, networking. Networking is another important area. Educational institutions also serve as a network building platforms, which are going to help an individual in their future endeavors as they progress in their career. And last but not least, the career progression. We all know certain academic qualifications, certain academic advancements, certain technical skills will only make you beat the competition and advance from in your career from one place to the other, from one height to the next. right? Like you want to get into the advance into the leadership roles or management roles in certain corporate spectrum, your academic qualification play a crucial role. So all in all, access to access to opportunities, to beat the competition, to build skills, to network, and to progress in your career, yes, education plays a crucial role, and this is evident fairly largely in our social segment, in our society, in our countries, in our in this world. So it is very clearly evident, and we have been seeing, hearing, and experiencing all by our own. So please take heed. Education is going to play a crucial role. So this is one part of the conversation I want to make, as in favor of education. Yes, education plays a crucial role in individual success, and it is mandatory to be successful. Now let's look at the opposite side, where education is not mandatory to be successful. It is quite possible, as I said in the beginning, these young boys and girls pick up those very specific 1% or less than 1% of examples to give a convenient excuse not to pay attention to formal education. Well, that's again an individualistic approach. But let's see, education is not mandatory to be successful. Like I said, success has no one formula, right? So let's look at it. There are certain specific areas like entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, it requires an idea, and you nurture that idea at a very early stage, at an early age, and then solve that bigger problem that the world could benefit out of it, and you innovate. So that is where it plays a crucial role, where your practical exposure, understanding, or creating a new demand for a specific solution that you have in your mind, that makes it different. Without education, your innovation, your practical understanding of the problem and providing a solution, willingness to provide a solution to it, can lead you to success, in which education doesn't play a key role, largely. Number one. Number two, in creative fields, you dance, music, in specific art form, formal education is not so mandatory, but yet if you have an innate talent, if you have an innate potential which you can capitalize on, which you have recognized it at a very early stage, at an early age, then it makes a lot of difference that you can capitalize on it and then move on. So that's another area where you could count on creative fields. And there could be certain skill based opportunities. You want to become a mechanic, you want to become a plumber, you want to become an electrician. Though there are certain academic qualifications to become one, but it is not so mandatory. Only by gaining some practical knowledge, you can get into these careers and you can succeed. You can become a successful, professional in one of those areas. So that's another possibility. So all in all, these are some of the areas to become an entrepreneur, to test your mettle in the field of creative arts, or in a professional setup where you don't need a formal education, not necessarily. Well, it works out there, and we have ample examples, especially when it comes to these Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, whatnot, many other big names in the world. They are formally school dropouts, college dropouts, and they had a passion for their idea. They had passion for that idea. They are very determined. They are very committed. These are some of the principles for them to succeed and get to greater heights, not overnight. So my friends, though there are certain areas, there is a possibility that you could still succeed without education, and education is not mandatory, as we talked about, right? But please, you decide. This is very individualistic, this is very specific, this is very subjective. So as youngsters, if you're listening, watching to this episode, please take heed and then make a call accordingly. But lastly, I want to say something in conclusion. If anybody wants to experiment their career, their life without formal education, think about, do you have the luxury of time, effort, and money for you to experiment on you without formal education? Then go for it. If not, be a good boy or a girl and go through the formal education, choose one of those career paths. You can still get to greater heights. But yet again, success is different from individual to individual. It is very subjective. But don't take that isolated 1% or less than 1% success stories and try to put yourself in that shoes. You inspire from those stories, you inspire from those autobiographies. Also read through the hardships those individuals had to go through, or they have to take those pains to reach those great positions that they are in today, that which we are all are seeing. So please take heed, it's very important. So before I conclude, I want to add one more point as far as this topic is concerned. Is education mandatory, or does it guarantee success? So from my perspective, personally, my understanding of life and success is basically there are only 2% of people who have the greater chances for them to succeed without formal education or anything. 1%, the 1% of people who have nothing to lose in their life, and the other percentage of people who have nothing to gain in their life, or it's okay for them if they don't gain anything in their life. So let's look at that 1% who have nothing to lose. Is basically this individual is sitting right on the platform, have absolutely no background. He is just an individual, so he has nothing to lose. So his risk-taking ability can be pretty high. And similarly, when somebody who has access to every kind of resource on this planet, every kind of resource that can be available, they are okay even if they don't gain anything, so they can get into a pedestal. So those are the 2% of people, if I can put it from a percentage, who are likely that stand greater chances. That does not mean that I'm undermining the possibility of the rest 98%, which most of us would fall under. It is very important. Do we have the luxury of time, effort and money for us to experiment with us, experiment on us, experiment with our idea? If yes, then we also stand good chances. Otherwise, it's important to secure your career with a formal, proper education, at least which will serve you as a fallback option, even if you want to go experiment on you. So do not, my request, do not undermine the importance of education or a formal education or building formal skills or competence through whatever medium it is possible. So make sure you take on that path. That is how I would conclude this episode, because this has been one of those intriguing questions that I most often come across whenever I do these career workshops or one-on-one sessions with students, parents, everybody. This is one of the common questions. In fact, parents are sick and tired in explaining them to their children. I'm not saying this is something new concept that I have come out with. This is a common explanation that is available already. We all know as elders and parents, but the youngsters find it difficult. It is difficult to convey the message to them. So through my career conversations episode, I thought this is one of the interesting topic, and it makes a very good topic for one of the episodes, and I've come up with this. Does education guarantee success, or is education mandatory to succeed? So I hope that conversation, the views and my thoughts are useful to you, whether you are a student, parent or a fellow mentor who's listening to this conversation. I hope you have a takeaway from it, you resonate with my thoughts, and I hope it was useful. And thank you so much for listening to all my episodes and all your encouragement thus far. I'm so grateful to you, and until I come back with another episode, do take care, and thank you for listening as always. Thank you.